Okay, in this tutorial we're going to talk about how to go from your blocking in from your thumbnails that you've set up with your refined and your general, research sketches, all the rest of it. We're going to talk a little bit about how you go from the blocking in through to color, and then what we'll do is we'll do highlights and shadows. So if you want to add more detail than what we're showing here, this is going to be a fairly simple background. You would look at some of the Pinterest how-to tutorials we've got links to. If you wanted to do more texture on the rock, how to do water drops, how to do crystals and things like that, then that's up to you. To push it past these simple tutorials, then you go and do some research on how to do particular textures, all that sort of stuff. So we've already shown you how to drop one of your thumbnails in to this space. We've now got a nice HD page ready, 1920 1080 with some bleed. So add a little bit of bleed to that if you like, but this is basically our environment here. Put your character in there somewhere, okay, so that you know how big the character is going to be, etc., etc. And what I'm doing here is I've added a little bit more detail here just so that we can show you some really cool shading and highlights and stuff. So I'm still going to block it in, but I'm just working on a little bit more detail here. So first of all, let's block this in, and I'm going to think about some layers here. Okay, so I'll do tree, I'll do rocks, okay, I'll do the bush there. So rocks, bush. So you can see that I've got lots of layers here, not necessarily just three. So foreground, midground, background. Just so that I can do lots of editing along the way. But in the end, I would, of course, do about three. You can do 4 or 5 or something like that. But yeah, this is just a lot easier to work with. So what have we got? We've got tree, we've got rocks, we've got bush, we've got the plane on the ground. I'm going to do hill 1. So this is a bit silly doing this many, but believe me, once you get stuck into different things and you work on different shadows and highlights and all the rest of it, it's going to really benefit you. I'll put sky at the back actually. I'll do moon. It's going to really benefit you having all these layers to work with. I'll do cloud 1 and I'll do cloud 2. Okay. So that will do for now. So I've split that up. I've got tree, I've got rocks, I've got bush, okay, I've got the plane, I've got hill 1, hill 2, I've got the moon, I've got cloud 1, cloud 2, and I will do sky. Okay. So what I can do is I'll put those details at the top. Let's block this in again. But you can see that I'm thinking about a bit more detail. I'm thinking about improving the edges a little bit more here. Okay, and I'm putting everything in layers once I recreate this stuff. Okay. So let's block some of this stuff in. Okay, so tree, what I'm going to do is I've got another file over here that I'll get some color information from. Okay, so I'll click over to there. Let's block in this tree. Okay, yeah. And a little bit of texture is okay. I mean, you can have your edges as crisp as you like. I will just make sure that it has a little bit of texture here. Okay, and I'm in the tree layer and I'm deliberately doing this in layers, okay? So the whole idea is, let's make that out a little bit. The whole idea is I'm just doing solid color at the moment, and later on you can do your highlights and your shadows, things like that. Okay, but really, yes, I've sort of recreated some of the stuff from my blocking in, but really, if you've done enough detail and enough, um, enough features and enough things like that in your thumbnails, you don't need to recreate it like this. But what you do is you re-look at all the features in your landscape and you recreate them in different layers. Okay, so you can see there that tree, it's now on its own layer, and if I took that away, now you can start to see that I'm blocking in some of those. So rocks, let's look at just a simple grey there, nice light grey is okay. All right, so let's block that in. I'm double checking that I'm in the right layer. Let's block that in, that's probably a little light actually. You want sort of a mid-tone, so that you can do highlights and shadows. Okay, so let's have a look there. And in fact, I probably wouldn't want much texture on this. I mean, I won't change it now. Let's put the rocks behind the tree as we go. So really, this is all out of order. This should be all the other way, but we can do that as we go. So I probably would have less texture on that, so I'll just do the edges a bit crisper, because rocks are sort of melted looking. Okay, so I want a little bit of texture on that, but and like I said, normally I'd probably use a different brush, but with the rocks I want a bit more of a crisp edge. Something like that's okay. All right, so you can start to see that I'm just blocking stuff in. All right, so there's my tree, there's my rocks, and it's all out of order, but yeah, we fixed that along the way. Okay, bush, let's have a look at bush. All right, so just blocking in, and you can see what I mean here. Okay, so there you go. In fact, let's see how that looks. Yeah, a little bit dark is fine. So something like that anyway. All right, so you just go through, you block all this up like this, and you just keep going, layering different things on there like that. Okay, I think the rest of this, so that can stay on top. The plane can go under the rocks, and let's have a look at that. Okay, how are we doing here? Yep, that works all right. Okay. Yep, so we'll get that up and over. Okay. What else have we got here? All right. I might just do a tiny bit of texture in there. Whoop. But I'm not going to add too much. Just to give you an idea of what we would do. Okay. Oh. All right, so a little bit of texture in there. Okay, what have we got next? Hill 1, Hill 2. So let me do... Okay. Hill 1. Now, let's do sky. And I'll just do a solid sky here. Because if I do sky, then I can start affecting the brown in the hills and everything else and make it go back into the blue. So if I pick the sky first, it means that I can sort of tailor make all the other colors to go back. So sky, Let's do this. We can make it go down like that, that's fine. And then I'll just put it behind everything. All right, and I might just fade that so that we can see through it. So sky will be behind hills. Okay, so hill 1, let's do hill 1. Let's make it a, what have we got? Let's make it a bit more like that. Yeah, look, all right. Okay. Let's do that, and we can change the color later on. Okay. So we don't necessarily need to, I mean, those colors aren't great. All right. So that's what we've got for the first one. All right, I might just finish that off. And that's what we've got for the second one. So what we can do with this one is that we can fade this. Okay. All right. And this one, we can do all sorts of stuff with this. Okay. What should we do here? Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing something behind here where I'm copying this, okay, putting some blue in it, all right, so that I can fade it without seeing through to the background. Okay, so you can see here that I'm just filling that in so that when I do this over the top and fade it, yeah, it's not going to be see-through. All right, so you can see this is the beauty of just mucking around with different layers. Okay, so there you go. All right, so we're starting to get an idea here. I might put one more in here and just make this shadow. Okay. Where shall I put shadow? Shadow goes on top of plane. So it's moving some things around, really. Let's have a look. All right. Let's do just a shadow like that. And then we can fade that as well. Or do multiply, which is kind of awesome. All right, so we can do little things like that. So you can see that I'm just blocking things in, just really roughly, okay? And I'm putting things in line. This thing here, you know, underneath, I'm trying different things in the plane. So gradually blocking out some different things in here. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got sky at the background, we've got hills, okay? We've got the plane, we've got the shadow on top, then we've got rocks, tree, bush, moon. Yep, that's okay. All right, let's have a look at moon. Let's do a nice big, nearly white moon, something like that. Where are our details? Moon or sun or whatever you want in there, maybe sun. Okay, so maybe it could be sun, but whatever. This shadow here doesn't necessarily have to stay there. It's just grounding the character at the moment. Let's do some white clouds, and then we can change them if we want to later on. Okay, let's do. Yep. Okay. Let's do some clouds. Right. Okay. Get rid of that. All right. I'll split them up later. Okay, and there are our clouds. Okay, so what have we got? Cloud 1 and cloud 2. I'll make that cloud 1 and cloud 2. Okay. So, and cloud 1. All right, so this is what we've got so far, folks. Okay. So we've had this. In fact, I can probably get rid of that. So we've got this. And in blocking that in, I've added a few more details. But essentially, I could really just color this, okay? So if I've got a drawing like this, I'm now just blocking things in. So I've got sky, which I can put a gradient in or something like that. Then I've got the hill, okay? Then I've got the background to the next hill so that I'm not seeing through it and whatever's on top, okay? Then I've got the plane, all right? Then I've got the shadow, the rocks, the tree, okay? I'll get rid of that. Then I've got the bush, okay? Moon or sun, I mean, we can change the color there. Different clouds, okay? And the character. So that's all blocked in. All right, so that is how to basically color your landscape. Don't forget that you can do things like fading different things, changing the color, transparency mode, all that sort of stuff as well. But basically that is blocking in for color. And next what we'll do is we'll start manipulating the different objects, adding textures if we want to, but certainly adding light and dark shading and highlight.